thank you for coming. I know especially this time of the year, I was doing some Christmas shopping yesterday with my daughter, and last night. It just, we all getting tied up into family things and the holiday, and that's all great. And so the commitment to be here this morning is absolutely appreciated and fantastic. I met Dave, our guest speaker today. I met him back in January when I was starting up my business up here in the Inland Northwest. He was starting up his business. We did a little bit of Facebook with a few people, and then I ran into him at a luncheon. And then we just have continually run into each other throughout the year, and we've shared each other's experience, like what are the difficulties of coming to an area and not having 30 years of friendships or a built-in community? What are some things that just flat out just didn't work, but what are some things that worked really well? And he's actually been getting a lot of traction for his business. Hopefully we'll talk about some of that. I'm definitely wanting to be a client of his in 2024. It's one of my goals. And so with further ado, I am going to bring Dave Chesser up.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, would it be okay if I took a selfie of us together? Kind of a 1, 2, 3 kind of cheese kind of thing might work? Okay, so why take a selfie? It's not about me. It's about a celebration of you guys. Fitness is a big deal. A lot of people struggle with fitness. I don't feel comfortable at the gym. People are looking at me, this kind of thing. So one thing I want you to get from the presentation today is that it is not about my fitness journey. It is about yours. It is about the clients. It's about ordinary people wanting to be extraordinary. And if you're going to be extraordinary, you have to do extraordinary things, okay? And that's what I'm going to highlight today for all of you. So first of all, yes, my name is Dave Chesser. Kettlebell Quest Personal Training is my gym. I've been in business since 2008. Moved here not too long ago, however, and Coeur d'Alene is the one place I've always wanted to be. So let's take a look at a basic presentation. Part of this is going to be about me at the beginning, and then it's going to be a little bit more about you. But why is it going to be about me at the beginning? I have to show you what I've done so that you will trust me. It's all about trust. People don't work with people they don't trust, right? All right, here we go. So this is my logo. Spartan is very important to me. And this is one of my first clients. So let's go back to the Spartan for a minute. Okay, why the Spartan? Hard work, blood, honor, physique, okay? The kettlebell made my business what it is. Okay, I at the time was living in Taiwan. So what I did was I imported kettlebells. We were the first company to import kettlebells. I sold kettlebells. I trained people with kettlebells. Later I certified people with kettlebells. Okay, the kettlebell made my business. And to go back a little bit further, why did I start my business? Where do I come from? So I was a U.S. Army medic. I got stationed in Camp Zama, Japan. I was also a mental health counselor. I was more mental health counselor than medic. I was the kind of guy, if you got blown up, I put you back together, then I treat you for PTSD. That was my job. So talking to people is what I did. So I was in Japan. Japan's crazy expensive. I've always wanted to be in Asia. I studied Chinese when I was at University of Florida, right? Japan's crazy expensive. I can't afford it. I get this idea of opening a gym chain. But again, Tokyo, okay, a watermelon in Tokyo usually costs about $60 US. Yeah, okay, it's not cheap. Everybody lives in like the size of, maybe a closet. So anyway, I get out of the Army. I decide I'm going to move to Taiwan because Taiwan's a lot more affordable. And I studied Chinese, not Japanese, when I was in university. So I lived there for 20 years. It was always my idea to open a gym chain, but it took a little while for me to save up some money. So I worked as a newspaper editor until I could afford to open. So I opened officially in 2008. And I knew I wanted to be a different kind of trainer from all the other trainers, so I opened my own gym chain. I never worked for anybody else. So there was no safety net with me. I opened my own business to feed my family, We got to know what we're doing. I had never opened a business before, so it was learning through a fire hose. So what did I do? What I did was I didn't have any clients at the beginning, so I did fitness 8 to 10 hours a day. I studied, I read books, I practiced all the techniques, this kind of thing. So fake it until you can make it, right? But I didn't fake it. I earned it by working in my business, and I started with one client, and then the one client became two, and two became four. All of a sudden, my little class started blowing up. People started really hitting it because kettlebells back then, early mid 2000s, it was an in thing, okay? I was the only source. That tends to help business. If you can't get it anywhere else, you'll go to the one guy who has it. And that's what caused me to be initially successful. I eventually expanded, as you're gonna see. It took a little while. So it was a new concept at the time, but it did catch on. This was my second gym. Everything that I did, I self-funded. I never had anybody else fund me. What I would do is I would save the money from what I was earning, and then I would get a new location. This location, I'm just going to talk for a second, was decrepit when I rented it. It's off of a main street down an alley. Nobody had rented this spot, okay? And in Chinese culture, there's a parking garage next to this underneath the building. It goes down. There's a down slope next to it. Okay, in Chinese culture, feng shui is really, really important. No business wanted this because their business would do what? It would go down. I said, no, 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 no. I can do this. This is our baby. We went in and we fixed it up, and the landlord's like, thank you. No one's rented this in 20 years. And we made this a very successful business, or a successful location, and she was part of it. So this was Jessie. She was a lawyer, and she came to me because, I'll just be honest, I tend to speak really bluntly. She was shaped like a barrel, okay? And she said, I don't want to look like a barrel anymore, okay? So I said, well, that's no problem. I can do it. She came to me, I believe it was twice a week, 30 minutes each time. That was it. In Taipei, they have the MRT, the subway. You can get in a lot of different places pretty quickly. So I would train a lot of, let's say, like middle class, people who were still maybe single or had just gotten married or just had kids or something like that. Usually between the ages of 25 and 50, those were the kind of people I would normally train. Like young professionals fit really well with it. So she came to me twice a week. We did barbell lifting and we did kettlebell lifting. She's snatching a 16 kg kettlebell. 16 kg, I didn't start with the communist system living in Asia. I definitely had to learn it. So when I think of kettlebells, I always think in kgs. That is about 40 pounds. Yeah, and she's snatching it for reps. So she's doing it multiple times. So this was her cardio, because I don't really do a lot of traditional cardio. I tend to do weight training kind of cardio, okay? And she really blossomed, and this got me a little bit of traction. So I'll show you her techniques. And this is her after about 3 years. So let's go back and we'll take a quick, now that I've got more time to talk. Okay, she started with 16 kg. That's 48 kg she's swinging. That is 48 kg is about 110, 115 pounds. She weighs 115 pounds. That's her body weight that she's swinging. Fat loss is not an issue when you're doing stuff like this. If we were to swing 8 kg or we were to swing 20 pounds or whatever, she'd have to be there for 40 minutes swinging it. When you're swinging this much, it doesn't take that much time. So what we do is we can take the workout so we can shorten them down to, let's say, the minimum that you actually would have to do. This is my third location. We upgraded, much better equipment, right? Right, so that's what I would do. I would invest in a new location and better equipment because it was always about getting results for the client. And when you get results for the client, people like that, okay? They responded well to that. I think it was also Christmas. We actually have some lights up. What's that?
Did you have to import all that stuff?
Okay, that's what was really interesting because I was in Taiwan. Okay, so did I import all that stuff? I actually ran an import-export company at the same time that I ran a fitness company, so we had two. So what made my gym unique was I imported and sold a lot of the things that we used in the gym. Why was I able to do that? Because I was in Taiwan and Shanghai was across the bay. Hey, there we go. So we're just across. Believe it or not, though, when you buy things, they tend to go down around all of Australia and then come back. And I'm like, look, can you just, we're right here. No, the route is to go this way. And I'm like, okay. So sometimes it takes like 3-4 weeks for it to get to me. Yeah, and I'm like, I can almost see you guys, anyway. Just like Sarah Palin could see Russia, anyway. All right. So I actually got a lot of good deals, and this kills me because this rack is made by Sterling Impulse, and you cannot buy it anymore. It's out. That was like the best. This is a half rack. It's not a power rack. It's just a half rack. That was the best one you can get, and I can't get it anymore. Anyway, stabs me right in the heart. Anyway, she was one of the reasons for my early success because she was a woman, obviously. Women lifting weights, women eating meat, that's weird. That works. Yeah, that works really, really well. And what we were doing was a different kind of weight training than what a lot of people were used to. At the time, there were bodybuilding gyms in Taiwan. That was pretty much it. There wasn't anything else. So what we did was we occupied a niche that nobody seemed to want, or at least nobody had the guts to do it. So my little private independent gym at the time, we were like the only game in town. You either joined a chain or you joined some little bodybuilding gyms that looked like they hadn't been cleaned in like 10, 15 years. Mirrors are kind of grimy and all this kind of stuff. So we occupied that niche. And when I started posting stuff like her on social media, it got immediate traction. So this is her deadlifting 100 kgs. And now she's starting, you can see that she's got shape, she's got curves, right? These weren't apparent before. And this was something that I made everyone do. This is called the deadlift. It's the most basic lift you can do. Is how do I get something off the ground up to my waist level? I would have all my fat loss clients do this because, believe it or not, a lot of people who are overweight, they're used to carrying a lot of weight around. It is not difficult to make them strong. Once I make people strong, everything else is possible. I can fix your joints if we can get you strong. I can have you lose fat very quickly if you're strong. If you want to build muscle, being strong helps. It helps a lot. So I made everybody deadlift. And again, that was what? Deadlift? No, people didn't do that. Unless you were like a power lifter, people weren't deadlifting. So again, when I got normal people doing stuff like this, people thought it was weird. So just from that perspective alone, sometimes when people come look at what we were doing, just to try to figure out, like, this is kind of a weird place, does this work?
She's deadlifting 225, isn't she?
Yes. Yes, that's 225, right? I'm sorry, again, the communist system, 100 kg, 225, so that's a lot, right?
Twice her weight.
Yeah, that's twice her weight. So this is another client named Dana, and she's doing dips. That's a 24 kg kettlebell that she's got hanging right here. Dana is smaller than Jessie, so 24 kg, that's 52-ish pounds. So she's doing dips with that. So Dana is a very interesting case. Dana came to us. I was running something called the Athena group, and I wanted to take a group of women that didn't work out, and I wanted to put them through our program and see what they could do. And Dana showed up, and I was like, she's different. I could tell right away she responded to the training. So one of the things that we found is that by offering this kind of training, we found what's called latent athletes. Okay, there are sometimes processes in place in schools to find people with athletic potential and then kind of steer them towards running or, whatever it is, weightlifting, stuff like this. But there are people who don't get picked up by those programs who have amazing athletic ability. Dana was one of them. She showed up and we started training her, and she just responded right away. She got to be super strong. And again, this got us a lot of traction on social media. So that's 20 kg she's got hanging, and now she's going to do chin-ups. And you can tell she's got fairly visible muscle. Okay, one thing you need to know about Dana. She found out that there was going to be a powerlifting competition in her neighborhood on Saturday. She showed up and won her division. No preparation. She just walked right in. This was not the only time that happened. I had other clients do that because we stress strength training. And again, I just want to point out, these are just normal people. So I started getting a little bit more traction from this because almost all of our women came in and we had them doing chin-ups and pull-ups. So again, that got people's attention. You're not supposed to do that. Women can't do chin-ups, can they? Let alone with, what, 50 pounds? So this is Dana, Jesse, and another lady, 48, 44, 40 kg. This is all their body weight, pretty much. So this is them swinging the kettlebell all at the same time. Okay. So, one of the things that I did, I'm always about personal excellence. So what I did was I traveled around Asia and I learned from a bunch of different people. And this was one of my mentors. His name is Steve Maxwell. He was a guru for kettlebells and all kind of things. And he's got what he was teaching at our seminar back there. So I would invite people in. So they would train me. They would train our trainers. And we would offer the training to the general public. So the idea was to raise the bar, raise the level of fitness in the area, which I don't want to toot my own horn. You know, we were very honored to do this, but we did actually raise, once this started getting traction and people started noticing it, it's like I noticed other people like, we better bring in some people too, because I started punching above my weight. We only had 2 locations. I never had more than 12 trainers, and people who had 100 trainers, they started paying attention to what I was doing, and they started copying me. And that's where things started going downhill. You always want to be first, but there is a price to pay. So mentors, I brought him back. I got more certifications. This is the best gym I ever have been to in my life. Massive guy, Das Gym in Austria. This is in Vienna. They actually have a museum to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the gym. This thing was amazing. This gym was 2 floors, and it was huge. It was almost like 6,000 square feet. Now, he's the owner. I'm so happy to meet him. This was like one of my best trips. So one of the things that I do is when I go to new places, this is just me. I'll go look up like the best gyms in the area. I want to go see what they're doing, right? And what I found out was I'm never going to be able to do that. I don't know how he was really able to do that, but massive, just mountains of equipment and stuff that you'd never see anywhere else. And yes, Arnold has worked out there. And they have this life-size statue of him. Okay. Always play heavy metal. So I had guys that would come into the gym. I had one guy, I hope this isn't offensive. Again, I tend to talk off the cuff. I had this one guy walk in one time. He looked around the gym. He's like, okay, I'll take a year. And I'm like, whoa, okay, great. He said, if you don't mind me asking, you didn't even go look around. What caused you to want to join here? And he said, well, I was at the other chain gym, and I was in the squat rack, and I was trying to do my squats, and It's Raining Men came out over the radio. And he's like, I'm done. I left. And he left, he walked in, we're playing heavy metal, and he's like, this is my place. And he did. He joined for a year. He lifted really heavy. So this is the lead singer of As I Lay Dying. So sometimes they do tours around Asia where they're going to work out. He was really into working out, so he searched for a gym in English. A lot of gyms have the Chinese, right? But no, my gym had English. That was us. So I got to work out with him, and I was also a big fan. So hey, that kind of made my day. Okay. Before I show you this, this is Steve Cotter. This was one of my closest mentors. So this is me passing level 1. What I like about Steve is that he's Tom Cruise's height, and I'm 1 inch taller. So king of the manlets, me and him. He's probably a little above me, but that's okay. This was level 1. I don't know if you can tell. I'm really, really happy here because I managed to survive. He put us through hell. Ex-Army, I've done a lot of military stuff. Steve Cotter blew all that away in 2 days. I was very, very happy to have passed. So what is the kind of stuff that he put us through? This is what he can do. That's double 32 kgs, I believe. That's about 75, 80 pounds. And now he's going to do a split. And he tosses them around, does all kind of crazy things. And then he jumps up and down off tables using one leg. So he was my mentor for a long time. I learned everything under him. And then I started my own organization where what we did was I trained people. I certified them. So I moved into, like, he's the international guru, I'm the national guru, right? So this was my first group of certified trainers. These were some of the most famous trainers in Taiwan at the time, and they got certified under me. I was very honored to do that. So we started leading the way with kettlebell certifications. That's where Kettlebell Quest came from. My gym had another name, and I started Kettlebell Quest. I certified 1,000 trainers in my personal kettlebell system. So that was actually my job at the time. I didn't really train normal people for fat loss. I trained trainers to get fat loss for normal people. So if you hire me, or if someone you know hires me, you're not just getting like a normal personal trainer that just got a certification a couple of months ago. My job was training other trainers. So let's see how that turned out. So more and more people started training with me, and that was my largest group there. And then Daphne came along, and she brought her friend. So Daphne was our desk girl, and she was a social media like marketing guru. I didn't even know that. So what do I mean by that? Well, Instagram started getting big, and she was really big on Instagram. So she has all of these people that I now call the hot moms, the hot mommies. Okay, so in Taiwan, a lot of times what will happen is they have kids go to school, about 4 years old, they start looking in the mirror, oh boy, not high school anymore. I've gained a little bit of weight, don't look quite as good as I used to. Now the kids going to school, they've got time for themselves. What do? They want to look good, and they want to look good now. And I started specializing in this group. So she came, and she brought Chi-Chi. So Chi-Chi was one of the top Instagram models in Taiwan. But what I figured out real quick was that they look good on Instagram because they're experts at shooting the right angle. They're experts at wearing the right clothing. And the clothing companies love them. They'll send them this clothing for free. What they weren't expert in was actually the exercise, which I found out real quick. Basic pull-ups, basic push-ups, didn't really do those, right? They looked good, but they didn't move well. I don't know if you guys follow any fitness on Instagram right now, but there's always like, they're always doing new movements and stuff like that. The bar's been raised. If you were in the fitness area and if you were on Instagram, from my perspective, it's like being a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. It's high level, and it's a bit touchy. So what we did was I taught her a lot of basic exercises, and this caused me to explode. Because when we started doing this with her, all of her followers started coming in. So here I am teaching her how to swing the kettlebell. She didn't know how to do that. And I'm telling her to use the hips. And now she's able to do it. So she couldn't press before. She's struggling. It's not going up. So I show her the correct angle, and up it goes. There you go. So the correct technique is very important. And her first chin up. There you go. And she was pretty happy. So here she is. She got sponsored by Gymshark. So she's showing off her new clothing. Okay, and then this guy came along. So that was Taiwan. 2019, December. We got a lot of competitors. People, gym owners would come to my gym and, it's a nice place you got here. Yeah, I think I'll look around. And it was obvious what they're doing. And they copied us, and they copied us, and they copied us. When we started, there were 20 gyms in Taipei. None of them independent. December 2019, 350 gyms, most of them independent. Right, so there you go. I sold in December. What happened in January 2020? We were on a trip. It was the morning of, we were going to leave to go for a month to New Zealand. I checked Zero Hedge, which I always check every morning. There's a new virus in China. I'm like, look at this. Wife's like yelling at me, taxi's here, taxi's here. I'm like, this is important. We landed in New Zealand and they started asking us about it. Why is this important? I sold December 6th, 2019, 1 month before COVID hit, or we would have lost everything. So we managed to get out, thank God. So the wife's like, okay, this is all looking really bad. China stuff's happening. What are we going to do? Well, we decide we're going to move here. Wife's like, if you could live anywhere, would you live? No question. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm not going to live anywhere else, especially with all this going on. Because the wife really wanted, she really liked Austria, right? So I was like, well, what place looks like Austria? Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She's like, okay, I'm sold. Let's do it. So I moved over here first. I bought the house, and then they followed after. So I held out a little while, didn't start the business. When I started the business, I wanted to do something new, something I hadn't done before, so I found ATG, the Athletic Truth Group. That's the official name. The unofficial name is ATG, Ass to Grass. So they're famous for ass to grass squats. They get everybody squatting full range. So why do they do this? Because this is really, really good for your joints. You do not have to wake up in the morning feeling like the Tin Man. You don't have to have aches and pains. I don't have any aches and pains. I work out every single day, okay? It just doesn't have to be that way. So you guys know friends and family and stuff like that on Facebook, I wake up feeling achy. You don't have to. I actually feel better than I felt when I was 18, probably because I work a little bit harder. When you get older, you start realizing what's important. So this was my guy. This is my new mentor. He's known as Knees Over Toes Guy, and this is him doing his thing. So one of the things that you need to know, I'm going to show you some extreme stuff, but everybody starts where you are, okay? Don't think, well, I can't do that. I know you can't do that. I couldn't do that, but you can learn to do that. And again, these are all normal people, except maybe for him. He's not normal. So he's the knees over toes guy, can you see? So yeah, he's pretty good. So he does crazy stuff like this. And then he's going to come out of that. And of course, he's got to do a full split right into that. So there you go. So he was on Joe Rogan, and then he really blew up. And that goes back to me. So why is he a big deal? So Ben Patrick, Knees Over Toes guy, the reason he was on Joe Rogan was he used to be a basketball player, and he could never dunk, and he had a knee replacement. And he said, you know what, I've been training normally, something's wrong. We're not exercising the right way. So he looked at the exercise techniques that they were using, and he completely reversed them, and he started having people do full range squats. Okay, he got kicked out of the gym of his basketball team. I forget which university he was at, because they refused to let him do that. He had to go to a public gym to train the way that he thought. So he's getting his revenge now. He's fairly famous and training millionaires and billionaires. So that's the story behind him. So this is my location. I'm in Post Falls on State Line Road. And again, That's, as you can tell, there's a lot of continuity between what we did and what we're doing now. So these are some of the people that I work with. They were very gracious in allowing us to take some photos. So again, just normal people trying to do extraordinary things. And sometimes they have trouble doing push-ups, and we teach them how to, see, we got that technique there. And then, once you get the tension right and the technique right, what happens? You get your push-up. And there we go. And that's the training that I offer. Private sessions 1 to 3 times a week, 4 if you want to do it. Doesn't really matter. I'm $70 an hour. Online training on my app is $320 a month. I write your program every single day. You want to work out 30 days that month? I'll give you a program and tell you exactly what to do. You go in, you do it, you give me feedback, I'll change the program, instant feedback. This is a very intense relationship. It's not you out working by yourself. This is me and you on a daily basis working together. A once a month program, once a month, once a week, you come in, you touch bases with me, I write you a new program, you go to your gym, you go to Peak Fitness, you go to 5-in-1 Fitness, you go to wherever, you do your thing, but then you come back to me, I give you a tune-up once a month, once a week, whatever you need. Accountability is a big thing. It's what most people are missing. I'm going to be offering a webinar pretty soon, 4 times a month for only $40. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of what I would do in person, but we're going to do it online, and we're going to do it as a group. So everybody will be able to ask their questions. Okay. So here's the thing. That's my background. That's why I hopefully built a level of trust with you guys. Here's something I want from all of you. I want to be your personal fitness guru, okay? I want you to ask me questions, okay? And I want you to ask them now. Any question you've got, I will answer. Go ahead.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first question,
Sure.
and then we're going to... So my first question is, again, me launching my business up here after having a business in SoCal that's been around since 1978 was a much different experience. I was coming in as an outsider.
Right.
I was told early on, you can't come in as a salesman. It's not me, 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 me.
Right.
You got to figure out how to do relationships, and you got to figure out how to be part of the community and things like that. I feel like you and I had a discussion sometime recently, and you said, I think I'm figuring Facebook out. Are there a few things that you found that have helped you from a business perspective that you would share with the group?
Okay, so marketing is a big deal. I shouldn't say this, but again, I'm just going to talk off the cuff. My son for years has said, Dad, you really don't know how to talk to people. And I'm like, I don't have to talk to people. All I have to do is show results. Because when we started in 2008, that's what we did. I showed results, people showed up. Hey, sounds great. Facebook back in 2008 was different. If you clicked like on something, Facebook's like, oh, you like this, I'll put their posts in your feed. Facebook 2023 doesn't care about that, okay? 6%, maybe. 6% is maybe what you're gonna get. If you've got 600 people that like that, well, you're gonna get 6% is gonna see your post, and that's about it, unless you pay, right? So I was angry about that. I'd stop paying for Facebook ads. They don't work, right? So my son says to me, he says, Dad, you know, you really don't know how to talk to people. And I don't know. Something about that bothered me. And I said, well, I don't understand the questions that people really want. What is it that people need? Okay, I did a Google search. 5 minutes later, I had 50 questions that basic people ask. And I'm like, oh, now I feel stupid. Okay, so marketing. Marketing is you're building a relationship with the client before they come in. That's all marketing is. And when I figured that out, I was like, oh, wait, so marketing is learning how to talk to people? Yes. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I don't really know how to do that. And then my son's like, yeah, right, we've been trying to tell you that. And then the next big thing was marketing is a skill you can learn. I was like, wait, you're not born with this? Because I figured people just had natural charisma. No, marketing is an actual skill that you can learn. So I started going through courses. I started buying these courses. And I would go through the entire course and I would learn something and I would take 3 or 4 things from that. And I go through another course, I take 3 or 4 things of that. Now they're starting to congeal. So I keep doing this. So the Facebook marketing actually taught me to talk to other people, which was something I really, again, didn't know how to do. So it's reciprocal. Everything is about relationships. but it isn't about a relationship if you don't know how to establish a relationship with people. So that's what we do now on Facebook, is that when I don't talk down to people, I try to talk and I try to bring you guys up. And people respond to that. A whole lot? No, not at the beginning, but a few. And that's what you need. You just get your finger over the edge. So Shauna and I talked, because a lot of people have told him that it's all about relationship. So groups like this are very special and very important. We need to join groups like this so you can see me and this kind of stuff. However, I'm eventually going to exhaust you and the people that you know. Now what do? I got to find another group. So this is where the Facebook comes in, okay? So that's marketing to people who don't know about you yet. So there's relationship marketing with people that know you and are in your sphere. And then there's what you got to do for the people outside that don't know about you. That first mentor, he taught me something that, oh man, he raked me over the coals. He showed up for one of those seminars and he's like, Dave, what are you doing for marketing? And I'm like, we get referrals all the time. And he's like, he's like, Dave, look, you should be getting referrals anyway. That's low-hanging fruit. Referrals are not a marketing plan. And I'm like, oh, because no one had ever told me that. He was the first one. I didn't get it. But he planted the seed. So later when we got to North Idaho, that's when I realized that social media marketing and marketing in general and everything else, building the relationships, it's not two different things, it's the same thing. And that's my long-winded answer because I'm a real proponent of marketing these days. Anyway, it's my new toy. Okay. Any other questions?
There we go.
How long would you suggest a new person like me would need to commit to a program? 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years? To get results, what kind of timeline are we looking at?
How many times are you willing to work out per week? What's the investment that you're willing to put into it? Because the more that you invest into it, the quicker you get results. If you're going to, invest in a 401k plan and you put in $1 a week and you put in $100 a week, you're going to get a different dividend, right? Or you're going to get a different outcome. One of the biggest problems, especially 2 weeks from now, what you're going to see is all these people are going to come out for New Year's resolutions and they're going to do this much and they're going to expect this much, and that ain't going to happen, okay? If you put in this much, you'll be lucky to get that much back, okay? It's a bigger commitment than most people think. I recommend everybody a minimum of 3 times a week. The reason I recommend 3 times a week, if you plan for 3, you'll get at least 2. Here's the problem with 2. You plan for 2 and you get 1, one's bad. You come in 1 time a week, the chances of you getting hurt is real good. Oh, I didn't come in 6 days, I got to get it. Yeah, and you got to get everything in like an hour. And this is where things snap. It's not enough time to change the body. So if somebody were to put in, let's say, 3 times a week and they do it real solid, we can start to see changes in about 2 or 3 months, unless you're willing to look at nutrition as well. And if you look at nutrition as well, and people usually aren't, I can get people to come to the gym, I get people to start with fitness, and then I wait for nutrition for a reason. Nutrition usually has to be earned. People do not want to change what they eat. I can get you to maybe come in and work out, but changing what people eat is more difficult. If you're willing to change what you're eating, you can get really good results in a month. But it rarely happens. Next question?
I've worked out with Dave a few times, and I've been gaining muscle faster than anything else I've ever done. And my biggest question for you, because I know I have family members all around, and I was wondering, where do we find your online material so I can recommend it to people?
Well, so I have kettlebellquest.net is my website. The online, what goes on behind the scenes, I use EverFit, which is an online application, and I send the programs out through that. So that's a little bit back end. You can't really see that. It's really difficult to kind of advertise because people they're not able to wrap their head around software, right? And most of us can't figure out Facebook these days. But there's a lot of online portals, like if you've ever used Telegram, it works a lot like Telegram or Signal or something like that. All right, so that's that back end kind of stuff. So thanks for Dr. Campbell. He works hard. His dips are coming along pretty good.
Dave, can you also just give a shout out for those that might find this video, a good phone number or a good way just to directly get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. And I've got right here on my card, my number is 208-503-6106. This goes right to the website. I've also given you, I think everyone's got one, it's a gift card for 2 hours of private training with me. Okay, I'm not joking. I will give you real training for 2 hours. I will answer any of your questions for 2 hours. It's not just a sales pitch. Clients are always number one.
So that offer that you extended to the group today, is that a today only kind of deal? Or if a Heart of Business member that couldn't attend today or somebody found this video through the Heart of Business, would you extend that same promotion?
Absolutely. Bring in the card. The card is how you get access to that. So if you can't use this, give it to your friends, give it to your family. Okay? These are like my little missiles that I send out, right? And they go out to whoever.
So if somebody saw it on YouTube and contacted you and said, hey, I saw your video through the Heart of Business on YouTube, digitally they wouldn't have the card. Do you have a digital card, or maybe we work out those details? Yeah, Matt.
No,
Yeah,
I need
all
to
right.
talk to other people. I'm not that far along in the process.
All right, we'll figure that out. Anybody else have questions? Okay, we're gonna.
Yeah, who's next?
So my question is, Dave, do you have experience working with people that have long-term injuries? And
Yes.
how do you work around that, or how do you train around that?
Okay. So usually the injuries that I work with are usually joint related. So there's two ways to do it. We can work into the joint, into the issue, or we work around it. If you're in an acute phase where things are flaring up, we work around it. If you're in a long-term phase where it's not acutely painful, we can work into it. So how do we work into it? So we work into it by starting to find out whatever you can do pain-free, and we're going to do that a lot. So we're going to take the range of motion that you have, or whoever it is, we're going to take that person's range of motion, and we're going to look at extending it over time through correct exercise selection. Also, the form that I teach is not form that you're going to see in a lot of mainstream gyms, because not everybody can do it. You have to be taught this. One of the big things, and everybody in this room is about the same age, you guys don't know it, a lot of people, as you get older, you lose your range of motion. And then what happens? You've lost that range of motion, you're going to get in shape, you go do that range of motion that you've got right now, and you overdo it. And what does that do? That makes you tighter. This lessens your range of motion even more, and then they get hurt. What you should do, which is what nobody does because they don't know how to do it, is you should extend that range of motion. You can be more flexible and more fit than you were at 18 right now. It's just a matter of training. Unless you're a cheerleader or something, I probably can't quite reach that, but you could get 95%. I actually have a cheerleader that I train. She was the girl that they threw up and down. Well, anyway. So yes, we can train around that, and we can train through that. We can do a little bit of both. So I have a lot of experience with that. Actually, everybody our age group pretty much falls into that category, believe it or not.
Well, as a closing comment, having been to Dave's gym, I would call it the next level, because he's going to get personal with you and deal with your life, your body.
Thanks, Hal.
Your needs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to do something different. So again, I had to have my own location equipment. I have a lot of specialized equipment just to fit the client's needs.
Do you speak fluent Mandarin?
Yes. Well, I did. I've been here for 3 years now, but I hear it every day in the kitchen. The kids and the wife still speak Mandarin to each other. They don't speak English to each other. So yeah, I hear it. But yeah, my Chinese is slipped.
So we need a translator to your.
Ah!
Well, his wife's available.
Yeah, my wife. I'll let my kids take that over. But
Could be a useful skill around here.
yeah, I think it could be eventually.
Close the deal in Mandarin.
Ah, buhay isa. May banfa.
So do you work with people who are older, who are not as fit like they should be?
Yeah, of course. So longevity is a big deal. Again, it's about joint mobility. So we go back to making your joints feel good. So we don't want to grind you down. I'm CrossFit certified, but we don't do CrossFit. I'd like to say I gave them a chance. They blew it. So it's not about killing yourself in the gym. It's about feeling better when you leave. But we're going to build muscle, and we're going to work those joints through a full range of motion So my goal for seniors, first of all, is to get up and down stairs, because that's a big deal. So if I can get you going up and down stairs with confidence, then from that basis, we get you moving and running a little bit. So yes, we can totally rebuild that. It's nothing but training. It's just a process. But the thing is, you guys don't know the process. When I guide you through the process, you'll start responding very quickly. Michael Wolston.
I know most of you guys, Michael Wolston. So I grew up really overweight. I've shared some of this with Dave, and kind of struggled with weight my whole life, and honestly confidence as well. And so when I got, I have 3 boys, I started running, started doing some stuff just to kind of keep up with them, but I've never really felt confident in my own body and in my own fitness and having strength and knowing what to do. I was that guy at the gym who was like using the equipment wrong. You see those equipment fails? I was that guy because I had no idea what I was doing. And so I've been working with Dave now for almost 2 months. Dave's given me more range of motion, more mobility, more strength, and I would say more confidence in my body than I've ever had in my entire life. And so I'm a huge believer in what Dave does. He meets you where you're at. So I know you can see the kettlebell stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, this looks extreme. He meets you exactly where you're at and doesn't, need to, you just work with me personally. And I know you do that with so many other people. So if you're even thinking about working with Dave, like I would go check out his shop, go check out his setup. He's got a sweet spot and he really is invested in who you are and what your personal fitness goals are. I'm excited to be more comfortable in my own body. My wife was like, you got better posture now. You're like, you're actually standing up straighter. I was like, all right, I've been working on that forever. So anyway, Dave, I can't speak to what you do enough. And I'm just so thankful that you do the work that you do. So I want to make sure I pop by and say that.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.